Hey guys, Paul here. So today I wanted to talk about the strange state of ultimate rare cards in Yu-Gi-Oh right now. It's a sort of obscure topic and one that I don't think a lot of people have very strong opinions on, but it is something that I just kind of noticed in the whole marketplace of the game, and so I thought I would talk about it and see if anybody else has any opinions. So this story kind of begins with the fact that I recently got in my 3 ultimate rare copies of Lo, The Prayers of the Voiceless Voice. Hopefully she's kind of in focus there and you can sort of see what she looks like. Yes. Okay, so yeah, they came in. They look beautiful, by the way. I love them. I like the Voiceless Voice deck. I've been playing it for the better part of the past year and it's really kind of grown on me. It's a fun little ritual control deck. And I even got the Ultimate Rare Diviner of the Heralds that also came out in the OTS pack before Lo did. So usually when I do this with a deck, it's because I really enjoy it and I'll try to go to the trouble of like max raring it out. I've done that a little bit with like Exo Sisters, Labyrinth, obviously Vanquish Soul, some of my favorite other decks. And I was actually able to pick up these copies of Lo for $11, which was a huge surprise to me. I was very pleased by that. I'm not complaining about that. But it did make me realize though that like ultimate rares in Yu-Gi-Oh kind of aren't worth a whole bunch anymore. They're not even perceived as being super valuable anymore. And I thought that that was sort of strange. I wanted to talk about it and see what other people think about it because I remember a time in Yu-Gi-Oh where ultimate rare cards were effectively kind of the max rarity versions of a lot of cards. Like way back when they first introduced ultimate rares was like in the GX era, and that was the time where a lot of cards and sets would come in multiple rarities. Something I still think Konami needs to start exploring and trying to do today. But yeah, like there would be cards that would come in the set as like a super rare or maybe even like just a rare, and then they'd also come as an ultimate rare. I remember this was the case for things like Brain Control, things like Lightning Vortex, even like random traps like Karma Cut and the Transmigration Prophecy, D Time, just things like this. There were some times where like having an ultimate rare copy of the card was just like a huge flex, and other times where it was like kind of you pulled an ultimate rare in a pack and you didn't really want to. But either way, ultimates were like kind of tough to pull. Like you'd kind of see like maybe one per box, but not always a guarantee. And I remember that the ultimate rare copies of a lot of the like staple cards were worth loads and loads of money. And they carried on doing ultimate rares for many years, but I think they stopped doing it in around, man, it's been almost 10 years now, I want to say. But yeah, they kind of stopped around, like, I guess I want to say like 2015 or so. So they didn't have ultimate rares in mainline packs. Instead, they started moving them to the tournament packs. And so we've been obviously doing like, turbo packs and now OTS packs for many years now. And even when those were around, typically the sort of like ultimate rare copy of a card that came in an OTS pack would still be worth just as much, if not more, than the mainline version of the card, even if it was like a secret rare. So for instance, I remember when they had like ultimate rare Forbidden Droplet, and that was like a huge deal because Forbidden Droplet hadn't gotten a reprint already, and it was worth, 80, 90, 100 bucks at the time. And then the ultimate rare copy came out and people were just like, oh wow, great, it's even more expensive. And so that was like a whole thing. Now, this has changed a lot. So I actually went on TCG Player because I figured that it would be fun to illustrate my points for you guys instead. And basically, I was looking at like OTS Pack 23, OTS Pack 24, 25, 26. So we'll start with 26. Lo, The Prayers of the Voiceless Voice is $11.46, or like the market price is basically $12. That's not too big of a surprise because I know that Voiceless Voice didn't end up really making a huge impact in the meta. Some people thought it would. Not really the case. But what's also strange is that Phantom of Yubel, which is in here, is worth $8. And that was like, wow. I mean, Yubel was like a top tier deck, like literally not just 6 months ago. And also, it's Phantom of Yubel. It's still like an anime card. So, you'd figure there'd be some just buzz or prestige around that. And even Diabellstar the Black Witch, who's been the centerpiece of a lot of competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! For the past 2 years now, is actually only $19 for an ultimate rare copy. So that's just really strange. And then I went back to OTS Pack 25, and it had the Head of Exodia in Ultimate Rare, and it's only $7. And then there's obviously Diviner of the Herald at like 10 or 11, Snake Eye Ash at 4 or 5 bucks. I know that the Snake Eye deck just got like kind of nipped in the bud on the ban list, but still, like, these are very cheap prices considering that there were times when Ultimate Rares were like, 60, 80, 100 something dollars. OTS Pack 24. Chaos Angel still maintains a price. It seems like it's kind of an exception. It's like 40 bucks. But what was strange to me at this point, I know Rock of the Vanquisher is like a very niche, people don't like Vanquish Soul that much. But where this gets strange for me is that Harpy's Feather Duster is only like $15. And that's weird because like it's one of those like kind of classic old school Yu-Gi-Oh cards. You sort of expect those cards to have like a little bit of prestige just from their age and being used in a lot of retro formats and stuff. And so this being this cheap was weird. And then I looked at OTS Pack 23 and saw that even Enemy Controller, a card that's pretty like iconic, especially in, Edison format and stuff like that, $13. Kurikara, I get it, like people don't really play her a bunch. And Big Welcome Labyrinth was a little strange because it's like, well, Labyrinth is sort of like a fan favorite. I figured people would kind of like that. But no, that's actually not the case. So, why is this? Like, what's going on here? Why are people just suddenly not that interested in Ultimate Rare cards? I think it's a mixture of a couple of different things. I think the first is that the Ultimate Rares lately have not looked very good. Like, Konami just makes weird decisions with them. I don't have very many of them to show on screen, but you can kind of look them up. I know that the like Exodia head was weird because like Exodia itself didn't really have any of the rarity parts on him. Like he didn't have the foiling of an ultimate rare. It was like kind of the area around him, which was a very small part of the card. I remember Phantom of Yubel has the weird kind of blocky square textured look to its ultimate rare foiling, which just didn't really go over well with a lot of people. I like how they did Low, but I'll even admit that in hers, she does not get the ultimate rare effect. It's like kind of just the stuff around her that might be kind of tough to see on the camera, but yeah, so some people feel like they're just not really doing the ultimate rares very well, like they don't visually look good. I think a second thing too is that QCRs seem like they've sort of replaced ultimate rares as that chase rarity that everybody wants. Like, it's not that hard to pull QCRs, I guess. Like, they're like 1 in 3 boxes or 1 in 4 boxes or something, which is quite hard to pull, but it's like easier than Starlights were. And so I think that maybe that's kind of informing some of the thought process. Like, it seems like basically when I was looking up these lows, I got ultimate rares because I like ultimate rares. It's my favorite rarity, give or take collectors. They're kind of what and what. But I realized that like ultimate rare copies of low are $11, but the QCR versions are still like 50 or $60. And so I guess if I was trying to max rarity out the deck, I technically should have gotten the QCR version, even though I like the ultimate version more. So I'm not sitting here saying that like one or the other should be considered the best rarity of the deck, but I was just surprised that their prices were so different. So yeah. Also, this is probably a good time to mention, I'm not complaining that ultimate rares are cheap. I don't have any intention of like selling these cards or hoping that their value goes up. I'm not a card, vendor, scalper, whatever. Like, I'm going to just keep these forever. But the thing is, it's just strange because I remember that perception was so high like a few years ago, and now it's just suddenly fallen off. And I mean, there are like old OTS ultis that are still worth a lot. Obviously, I know like Max C comes to mind, but even I think of things like Abyss Dweller seemed like that was like one that got really high up there for a while and stuff like that. So it's just kind of weird that change or that shift has happened. And I wanted to hear what other people thought about this. If this seems like this is sort of a big deal, what would you kind of chalk it up to? I think it really is that the OTS ultis just don't look as good. I think that it is QCR is kind of just seeming a little bit more prestigious or something now. I'm not really sure. I think the same goes for Big Welcome Labyrinth because I believe that got a QCR, if I'm remembering correctly. I think it did. And that one's worth a lot more than the ultimate rare copy is. It's just strange because I really like ultis. I remember when like ultis were just the kind of the peak of cool. And for me, they are still the peak of cool. But it seems like that's sort of changed for a lot of people. So I feel like there might have been one other like point I was going to make about it. I suppose... maybe do you think that it even has something to do with the fact that like OTS packs are given out more? I don't know what the pull rates for ultis are because I always thought they were still kind of hard to pull in OTS packs, but maybe more and more people are just getting the cards and it's just a simple matter of like kind of supply demand. It just happens. Or maybe because Konami's printing so many rarities of cards so quickly, the price or the value of them or just the perceived interest is a little bit lower. In a way, like, it's a good thing. It means like if you want to get ulti copies of stuff, you can kind of just wait a couple months and it'll just fall down. I guess if you're like an investor type or a collector type, maybe that's not as exciting. And the last thing I should say is that they recently announced that Blue Eyes White Dragon in the original like started at Kaiba art is going to be one of the ultis for the next OTS pack 28, even though 27 is just now coming out. So I'm wondering if that will have a high price because it's literally Blue Eyes White Dragon and we've never had it in that rarity. So maybe there's something there. Anyway, yeah, there's just a kind of small little ramble on the state of ultimate rares and Yu-Gi-Oh! And kind of getting people's thoughts on them, I don't know. Like I said at the top of the video, it's not all that important. It's not that huge of a deal. I'm not like buying and selling these cards. I'm not like in the market for them. But I thought it'd be neat to see what other people think about it. So yeah, let me know. Do you like Ultimate Rares? Are you glad that they're a lot cheaper now? Have you found that maybe some Ultimate Rares that you invested in have gone down in price? Do you think there's just some difference in the times? What's going on? What's happening? Let me know all your opinions down below in the comments. I'll be reading and responding, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Best turn.